The current national minimum wage is 27.58 rand per hour. Cosatu says an increase above inflation will help reduce inequality and poverty.
We've made our submission as Cosatu to the Commission for a CPI plus 3% increase. We think this is critical because, one, you have to make sure CPI, but also just take into account that CPI is much harder for low-income workers. So it goes to the Commission. The Commission will have to make a recommendation. They will then ask for public comments once again afterwards, which will do another submission. And then it goes to the Minister of Labour for her final consideration and decision, and then it comes into effect next year.
The General Industries Workers Union of South Africa has called for an increase towards the 15,000 rand per month minimum wage. It says this is necessitated by the rising cost of living. The organization says this would ensure workers' earnings enable them to afford basic standard of living, taking into account the cost of food, accommodation and transport.
We want the review of the entire national minimum wage legislation because we do think that the current national minimum wage bears no relation whatsoever with the real cost of living, which has created an unprecedented crisis of the cost of survival, but also of the poverty and deepening levels of hunger of the working class in this country. We are demanding a national minimum wage of 15,000 rand based on the report released recently, which is titled A Livable Wage Report, which does say that, a minimum wage of 15,000 rand would not be a living wage as such, but at least a livable wage.
Compliance with labor laws remains a concern, with unions saying the department needs to improve its monitoring.
We have different research. I think there are in the restaurants and construction. I think in some farms, some domestic workers, there is a problem around compliance. But look, there is compliance issues with every single law we have in the country. There's compliance issues around road traffic, around killing people. There's compliance issues. But you have the law to try to guide what is acceptable, what is not acceptable to society. We need to do more and better on compliance. That means we need to have more workplace inspections by the Department of Labor inspectors.
And companies have found a creative ways in which they can account and structure a working day in such a way that at the end they do not have to pay, right? Over 4,000 rand and so on. So there is a problem. In addition to the fact that there are many workers that are actually exempted, or employers that are actually exempted from that amount.
The labor organizations say there is a need for more collaboration between unions and government to ensure compliance with the country's labor laws. Gloria Sefako, SABC News, Johannesburg.